Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and I'm so excited to bring you a series entitled Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. And here with me today is Kevin Sheilley. He is the president and CEO of our Chamber and Economic Partnership. So welcome, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
My
And
pleasure.
I want to jump right in and just say, how has the CEP been able to pivot and respond to this crisis that we're going through?
I'm so glad you used the word pivot because that is our word for 2020. Didn't start that way, but that has become our word. I think part of our mission, or not part of our mission, is to be the catalyst for a prosperous community. And so it's easy to think about what that is when things are good. And we even thought we had a plan for when things weren't as good. We had to pivot to be ready for a pandemic. But I think knowing that our mission is still the same, we're still a catalyst for a prosperous community. That doesn't change because the circumstances have changed. So it's allowed our team to get really, and I'm very proud of them, very creative, looking for how do we assist businesses? How do we get outside the box? We don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Just because there's some good things, we can do those, but also what else is out there? And they've gotten incredibly creative and really been thinking about how do we impact businesses. And to me, that's probably the most important role that we have. And I'm really pleased with the work we've been able to do.
Yes, yes. And I've heard about a lot of those creative solutions. So that's fantastic to be able to respond like that as an organization. Now, what about you as a leader? What do you believe are the important characteristics that a leader needs to have and that you've had to tap into to respond to this?
It's kind of funny. Right as this happened, I was finishing reading Eric Larson's new book, The Splendid and the Vile. And I'm a huge Eric Larson fan. He's one of my favorite authors. And The Splendid and the Vile is about Churchill during the London bombings. And I'm amazed at how often I'm pulling things from that reading as I've been leading through the last month, 5 weeks, whatever we're up to now. I think part of my job as a leader at all times, ultimately what a leader's doing is instilling hope. Hope in a vision, hope in an organization, hope in individuals, because everything else then comes from that. But I think during a crisis, for Churchill, it was the bombings. For us, it's COVID-19. My number one job is to help bring hope. How are we demonstrating hope? How are we giving hope to businesses? How are we giving hope to our partners? How am I, as the leader in this organization, giving hope to our team members? And so really thinking about hope and finding that opportunity with everything around us that is so negative.
Yes.
I've become an even less of a fan of social media at this point because it's so easy to get overwhelmed with the negative.
Absolutely.
And for people who maybe already struggle with anxiety or people who can be anxious, man, I really feel for them during this time because there's so many negative voices. So I think we can be honest and say, hey, here are challenges. Here are things that we need to think about. Here are going to be things that we need to overcome. At the same time, just as Churchill did, he promised blood, sweat, toil, and tears, but he also always brought hope. And so for me, it's all of those interactions. Am I bringing hope? Am I able to convey that? What is the hope? What is the opportunity in this? And how can we lead into that as we think about moving forward?
Yes, yes, I love that message as well of hope, for sure. Now, I'm glad you mentioned the stress that people are experiencing right now, because I have learned through this, especially with friends, neighbors, my clients, that how people are reacting to this is very different. some people have a lot of fear around their physical health. Other people are feeling isolated. Some people are overwhelmed by having a house full of people. Some people are so bored, and that can be stressful too. There's so many different kinds of stressors. And I know you told me offline that, some of your folks are coming into the office, but some are choosing to work remotely. And especially for those that are working remotely and that you don't see, how are you gauging their stress level and picking up on that? And then how are you responding to them and helping them have hope?
Yeah, and thank you so much. We think about um, individuals, and everyone has their different personalities, and we've done a lot around different personality types here at the CEP within our team. I personally am a huge fan of Myers-Briggs and different versions of that, but we've also looked at DISC and some of the others. But because we've talked about that a lot here, I know who my extroverts are. I know who my introverts are. I
Okay.
know who I have on the team who enjoy change. I know who I have who really do not like change. Um, and so trying to think how we gauge that. And so for me, one of the most important things, and now that I'm going to share this, and once you share this video, they'll all know, we do a team video, team Zoom call every morning at 9. And I require them to be on video. Now, occasionally someone's in a car or something, and so they can't. But to be on video, and part of that is because I want to be able to see them. I want to be able to see how I think they're doing.
Good.
And then I'm trying to make some mental notes as we go through that. Who's gone from, man, they're dressed up, they're ready to go to work, they're there, to they're kind of there, and you can really begin to see the motivation has taken a hit. Whose attitude can we say, whose voices can we see changing? And so trying to use that as a gauge to then figure out, who do I need to do additional reach out to? Who do I need to talk to? We have a fairly flat structure here. Everyone's on one of 4 teams, but what team leader do I need to talk with? But hey, how's so-and-so doing? What's that looking like? And then also just trying to be encouraging. I think the more, again, hope I can bring overall, here's what I see happening. It's amazing to me. A lot of people, not just my team, will ask, well, what's the governor going to do? And oddly enough, Governor DeSantis hasn't called and asked me what he should do. But, we follow so very closely. We have, I think, a good sense of at least the direction that we're going. And so be able to find the positives. Here's where we are, but I think here's what we can look forward to. I think we all need that. And to, again, really, for me, for my team, to be able to reinforce that as much as possible. And to find the fun things. I mean, where we have an opportunity to, we use Slack as a communication tool. So make sure when there's something good from the team or something fun from the team, or someone needs a little ribbing, we can use that as an opportunity. So for a while, there got to be a sharing of photographs, which have been banned, never to be seen again from the past. Everyone was sharing their high school senior pictures, which for our team means you have people from graduating in the 80s to someone who graduated in 2017. So, really being able to go back and forth with that. And again, looking for opportunities to also be a fun work environment, even though we are mostly working remotely.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned the fun aspect, because absolutely that creates lightness, that relieves a lot of stress and tension with people. The other piece that I wanted to point out that you mentioned was, as a leader, knowing your team and having already done personality assessments and having that awareness makes you much more nimble, right? And it puts you in a position that you can quickly respond and know, okay, so-and-so is an introvert. I need to make sure that they're not feeling isolated and secluded, and that they're still part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about the beginning of our conversation, talking about how we've pivoted. We're moving really fast. I like to think here at the CEP, we're always busy, But the last 5 weeks has been crazy, the amount of activity that we've had, as we've really been trying to pivot and respond and be creative. But I think for us to do that, there's got to be that engagement. We've got to know each other. We've got to know the team. And we have to understand each strengths and weaknesses and how to make those work. And the reason we've been able to do so much so quickly, I think, is because not only are they a phenomenal team, but we know each other. And even in the middle of this, we added 2 new team members who were just happened slated to start in the middle, but they were individuals with whom we were familiar with as an organization. They knew us. And so while we've gotten to know them even better and been really pleased with how they fit in, I think that kind of excitement and knowing how we're making a difference in businesses and being able to see things happen and not just talked about, but really moved and brought to creation, I think also helps to energize that team.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So overall, what would you say are the most significant positive steps that CEP has taken as an organization as a result of this crisis?
Probably 3 things that I would immediately think of that I think are most impactful. One is we've led a campaign called Get, Gather, Go, which is all around informing our business community about the Paychex Protection Program. Get informed, gather information, go apply. So much so, and we got, our team, we did billboards and radio, we've had print, we've had a significant social media strategy, we've been engaging with our lenders, doing webinars, all the tools have been focused around that area. So much so that we know now, after the end of round 1, as we've been gathering that information back from our local lenders, nationwide, it looks like 1 out of every 19 businesses or so received a PPP loan. Here in the state of Florida, we didn't do quite as well. It's about 1 out of every 25. But in Marion County, it's about 1 out of every 8.
Nice.
So we did 3 times better than the national average, or the state average, 2.5 times better than the state. And I think that's, obviously we're very pleased with our campaign. That's also about that relationship with our lenders, being in constant contact with them, being able to help them as they've worked tirelessly to help businesses get approved. So I think that's been one. We started, when all this happened, we started calling every partner. Here at the CEP, we don't have members, we have partners. And so we broke our team up and we called every partner. And then we said, hey, that's been really beneficial. All we've done with that is we're not asking them for money, we're not asking them for renewals, any of that. Simply, here are resources. Are you aware of them? Is there anything we can help you with? Help us with the planning with additional resources. And that went so well, we said, we need to call more businesses. So we have 1,500 businesses that are partners. We've now called, I think we're getting close to 2,600 businesses we've called. So we've started pulling other list of businesses in our community, simply calling, hey, one, to see how you're doing. Also one, to make sure, are you aware of our resources at our website? We also have this Get, Gather, Go campaign. Or if you applied for a Paychex Protection loan, if you looked at it, you need to really consider this. Here's a link to a webinar to tell you how to do that. And I think just making those contacts with businesses, regardless of whether or not they're engaged with us or not, has been really significant. I'm hopeful here very soon we'll be at 3,000, and that'll be a big number. And then the third initiative is we're unique from a chamber in that we have the economic development functions, and we have a team dedicated to business retention and one person who just worked with our primary employers, manufacturers, and distribution facilities. And we know they're doing very well. Luckily for our local economy, especially compared to many others in Florida, our primary employers are not only able to retain their employees, many of them are hiring. And so we've been able to maintain a list on our website of over 40 businesses who are hiring today. And I think to be able to share that with individuals, hey, there are companies still hiring. There are, while it is a challenge for others, there's really good on this other side. And here are companies that you can look at. It goes back to that hope piece. We're able to bring hope to our community. And I think it's really been influential just for people to say, okay, there are companies still hiring. Everything's not gone. That means there's going to be some good at the end of this time.
Yes, Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the same way. I think that through all of the hardships and hard times that people are going through now, I think that there is just as much positive happening as well. And I'm seeing so much in our community, people reaching out to each other, connecting, trying to discover what their neighbors need, you know, what their friends need. What local organizations need. And to that point, I'm wondering from your perspective, through your experience with all the organizations that are members of the CEP, sorry, partners, in the CEP, how can people contribute in some meaningful ways if they feel like they want to make a difference in our community?
You know, I think the great thing about our community, one of the things that I like so much about Ocala, and for me, when I say that, Ocala isn't just the city limits, it's the Ocala Metro, it's all of our county. But we're a place big enough that there's an opportunity for whatever one wants. And that includes ways to get engaged and get involved. Um, if you want to make a difference and if you're concerned about individuals and that's a place you want to go, man, what's happening with our nonprofits? United Way, Interfaith, so many through the Community Foundation, really making a difference, doing some incredible work. Really proud to be associated with each of those and what they're doing. If you want to be involved with businesses and you want to assist businesses in an area that's going to be a challenge, or many of our small businesses, especially restaurants and retail, and buy those gift cards from those businesses. That's cash they have today. That's going to help their cash flow. Make sure you're buying it from the business so they're getting that money. But there's lots, and we've added resources on our website to help you do that. Great way to do that. If you just want to be help make a difference, I really encourage people, if you've got some training, whatever that area is, I promise there's a parent who's now homeschooling their students who would love to have someone whose background is maybe in engineering to help with their students with some advanced math. Or maybe their background's in one of the sciences and they can help their student. We've asked our parents to suddenly take on a huge role. By the way, we need you to work from home and we need you to homeschool your three kids.
Right.
So any of those resources where you can come along, because you may be a very educated person, but that doesn't mean that you understand everything you need to know about history and science and math and language. At our house, when our daughter, who's a sophomore in high school, has math questions, we go, oh, maybe you should find a friend because you're getting past what mom and dad can help you with. So to be able to engage and to assist families, your neighbors in that way, I think is a pretty cool thing to do. The key is there's no shortage. If people will be creative and we say the opposite of hope is fear. So if they'll move past the fear and just take that first step to, there's no shortage of ways to be involved and be engaged.
Yes, I love that idea of tapping into other people's expertise to help your children. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and what a great thing, because, I think about it at our home. Fortunately, we just have one child who's very motivated, who's in high school. So the homeschooling piece on us is pretty easy. We just check in, she's got it all done. We go, okay, great.
Right.
But, my interests are really obviously things like economics and history and politics. And so we have great conversations about that. And my wife has a healthcare background. So we in those areas. But at least if Rachel was struggling with her advanced math, there's not much either one of us can do. That's not an area of strength for us. So thinking about where you could tap into other people. And for other families, maybe it's not history. Maybe that's a struggle area. But I think that's a great way for all of us to use our interest to impact our neighbors and to help them out.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. And thank you so much for taking the time today to share your wisdom and your experience and everything that the CEP has done to make a difference in our community during this pandemic. It is greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you personally for your leadership, your inspiration, and the hope that you brought to us today. I mean, truly, truly valuable, I'm sure, to everyone that's going to watch this interview. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.